Oh boy, they did it, man. They walked into Oklahoma City in the defending champion's house, and they did it. Year 3 for Wemby, year 2 for Castle, 1 for Dylan Harper, year, I'm not going to go check, but I'm going to guess it's like 5 or 6 for Champagnie. Dude, the Julian Champagnie night, unbelievable. How many threes did the Spurs make in this game where it looked like a possession was basically going nowhere, or we were in late clock, we haven't really created an advantage, we tried something first, and then Champagnie threes, Dylan Harper step back on SGA, Wemby step back on Jay Will, Champagnie had a 3 over SGA. This wasn't even a 3, it was a Castle 2 over Caruso, where it was another play of it's late clock, where we're searching for something. Sometimes the Wemby screens open up something for somebody, like 2 of those huge Keldon threes in the fourth. Other times it doesn't connect and we're going late clock, and they just made enough crazy plays, or they had enough huge offensive rebounds. Castle, Harper offensive rebounds. They just did enough. They had Wemby loading up on one side of the floor on SGA. Because, SGA, we'll talk about Chet pooping his pants at some point in this video. It's don't worry. But, SGA in this one has Wemby just, Zach Lowe calls it a one-man zone. He's loading up on one side of the floor, and he's saying, we're not going to double you up there, but I'm going to be here. You're worried about me at all times. And if it becomes a skip pass, if it becomes just a series of driving kicks, we're going to bet that we will get the advantage on enough of those. Maybe Kaysen will make some, Caruso might make them, Chet's not going to do anything. iHeart might get open for something or whatever, but we trust that we can do this. And there was a couple of Jay Will or Kaysen threes with the free throw line help off from whoever, but for the most part, unless it was Shea making a tough shot or Kaysen bailing them out with a 3 or McCain having his own little run there for parts, although he ended up missing that massive wide open transition 3 that could have swung things with 2 minutes to go or whatever. The Spurs, they locked him up in this game 7 that, it ended up being 7-8 point game or whatever it was. But even when the Spurs were up 16 at one point, it was just so intense the entire time, man. That was awesome. And the flow of this game was just, it was something, right? To open up the game, first off, we got more Lou Dort minutes, and those have just gone really rough for the Thunder, I'm pretty sure. I'm not going to check its whole thing for the series, but it's felt like that, right? And then throughout the game, Daigneault, he's searching for something, right? A little bit of more McCain. He got Caruso in there, what felt like the fastest he's got him in the whole series here. Whatever, let's go to Chet, because we even saw late there that he was taking Chet in and out of the game some. That performance, or that non-performance from Chet was unbelievable. And he was so just nervous, and he was just such a non-threat for San Antonio that it was just wild to look at. He's at certain points, he's barely holding onto the ball. He's hesitating when he gets the ball versus Wemby. The one time he eventually is all right, I guess I'm going to challenge him. He falls over, and just the flow of the game, he was completely lost. I'm talking about offensive rebounds from Castle and Harper late. Harper also had a huge defensive rebound versus Chet when I want to say Wemby went for a rebound that he probably shouldn't have gone for, and the Thunder had numbers, and then somebody makes a play, and then Harper just wrestles it away from Chet. The Luke Cornett block was also unbelievable. Dude, when Cornett went in there with 5 minutes left or whatever, he left the game at 5 minutes. He went in at 7 minutes or 6:40 something to just give Wemby a minute and a half break pretty much. And you're just, I was saying this to myself, I imagine most people were if this thing swings back to OKC, it's going to be in this. And they had the turnover, and then Luke Cornett with the defensive play of his life to get back on iHeart. And then I think Dylan Harper scored after that or whatever it was. And man, every single theme of this series popped up in this game, right? For De'Aaron Fox, perfect time to show up, man. He also had a massive step back 3 in that fourth where it was another Wemby screen, because they were doing that a lot, or they were doing some horns action in that fourth quarter trying to get something in the half court. And he just drills one on Caruso. As I'm taking notes in this game, which is a trip because I'm constantly looking back up. I end up pausing sometimes, whatever, no one cares. But I've got 4 shots by the Spurs where it's just WTF. You really made that? But yeah, the themes of this series. Sometimes the half-court offense, getting into something really quickly. I'm trying to remember Wemby's baskets right now. Oh yeah, he had that series of face-ups where they kept on fouling him on the jumpers, where even on those plays, before something happens, I'm I don't love that it's either a face-up where we haven't really created an advantage yet, or it's just a simple screen that's kind of sometimes hitting, sometimes not, but also it's Game 7 of the conference finals versus a great defensive team. You got to take what you can get. And so Wemby draws 2 fouls It felt like all three of his threes were massive. I mean, two of them were very tough ones, and then one of them was that transition one where I believe the Thunder were starting to get momentum back, because in that second quarter, Shea was just making all of the mid-rangers that the Spurs are daring him to make, right? Some of them were like him not even dribbling, like him catching it in the spot versus Castle, like, on the left-hand side of the free throw line and just going into it immediately. Some of them were just going at Champagnie on a switch, a screen, occasionally putting Wemby in the action. Like he bumped Wemby for one. Like Shea, 35 on 12 for 21, and that second quarter especially, like really getting them back in the game. I will say, like, he did have that stretch there where, he was drawing fouls on the Spurs on jumpers. It was like Vassell and Castle, like pretty much in a row there. And at this point, Shea drawing a foul in any way is going to cause who knows how many people to get very mad. But also, if you're Devin Vassell and it's late shot clock, you know what's coming with the pump fake. And let's not act like SGA is the only guy who draws fouls on pump fakes. A lot of guys have done that for a long time. But eventually, it really just came down to either the Thunder were going to turn the Spurs over. The Spurs were going to miss a couple of tough threes. It really was unbelievable what they were doing in that fourth quarter. And either Chet was going to do something as a scorer, or the Thunder were going to make enough of their own difficult threes. Because, with J-Dub out, with AJ Mitchell out, that was it. It was Shea, 3-point shooting from our role guys, and Chet, please give us something, as Castle's pressuring Shea, and Wemby is loading up on one side of the floor against Shea. Also should be said, while they did have that little stretch late second when Shea was making everything, when they started actually double teaming him at the top above the 3-point line, which they stopped doing, which I think was good because they were killing him on that stuff just a couple games ago, right? Even if they did force one turnover on that stuff. But he still saw extra guys because, again, Wemby loading up one side. And then also, whenever Shea, or not all the time, but sometimes when Shea would go to the side of the floor, that's when they would get in a bit more of an actual double. Like Wemby would sometimes come over, and they've gotten in trouble with that play sometimes in the series. Like I remember iHeart getting some easy stuff with Wemby going out there a little too much on Shea, but I think they had a couple of extra possessions from that where they were able to get the ball out of Shea's hands, and then once again we're going into the driving kicks. But that was a big thing in the series, them deciding we're not doubling Shea up top anymore. If we do bring an extra body, it's going to be when he's inside and all that stuff. Just crazy, man. We have now had, we got to talk about Chet some more. He was so bad. I don't really have any other words for it. He was just bad everywhere. He blocked Dylan Harper on a dunk at some point there, if you want to care. But yeah, man, for OKC, look, I don't think OKC is going to make drastic changes to their roster, okay? But they could obviously use a little more juice because Wemby's only going to get better. The Spurs team's only going to get better. And of course, they're going to hope that J-Dub and AJ are healthy next year. Now, even with that, they were clearly equipped to win this game. Like what the Spurs did going into this building and winning, it's insanely impressive. And so we have a Knicks-Spurs finals. And it's still been quite a while since we've had back-to-back finals trips for a team. It's tough to get there, man. And so the first playoff series of these two teams, and who knows how many times we see it over the next 10 years or whatever, the first one goes to the Spurs. And, OKC, they now have to make moves knowing that the Spurs are waiting for them. Sure, you can be better than everybody else, but there's one team with the really tall guy and the really tough guards, and Julian Champagnie going Game 6 Klay Thompson on you, that obviously can beat you. So there you go. They'll be back next year, and besides any moves that OKC would make, and they're not going to do like a major shakeup of the roster, but there are some money things that they got to look at long-term here as Chet and J-Dub's max extensions kick in here. I know some people want to imagine a Giannis trade. I don't know. But really, they need Chet to be ready for this moment. Anyway, Spurs win. They're going to the finals, and man, that's it, guys.